The sharp crack of splintering wood echoed through my home like a gunshot. My pen froze mid-stroke as I sat in my study, buried in case files. I knew instantly that sound was not a mistake. My front door had just been forced open. I rose slowly, every step deliberate, heart pounding with controlled fury. This wasn't an ordinary burglary. I could hear voices, brazen, entitled voices. And then came the one that had terrorized our neighborhood for years. HOA inspection. You don't answer calls, so we have the right to come in. It was Karen. Karen, the self-appointed tyrant of the HOA, who strutted around like she wore a crown instead of oversized sunglasses. For years, I had watched her intimidate retirees, harass young families, and file endless complaints about lawns, fences, and cars. I had stayed silent, watching, observing, choosing not to involve myself in neighborhood drama. But now she had crossed the threshold into my world, into my home. I stepped into the foyer, and there she stood, smug and unflinching, flanked by two board members clutching clipboards like weapons. They didn't even look ashamed. They were taking photos of my furniture, my rugs, my private life. "Karen," I said, voice low and firm, "you just broke into a federal judge's home." The clipboard wavered in one man's hand. Karen, however, smirked. "We warned you. Your hedges were overgrown, your driveway had a crack, and your recycling bin wasn't out on the right day. We have the right to inspect." My jaw tightened. Years of courtroom composure steadied me. "You have the right to send letters. You do not have the right to force entry?" She rolled her eyes. "We don't care what you think you are. Around here, the HOA makes the rules." That was the moment she revealed her deepest flaw, believing her power was greater than the law itself. I walked closer, inches from her, and whispered, "Karen, I don't think you realize who you're speaking to." She straightened, daring me. "And who exactly do you think you are?" I opened my briefcase, pulled out my federal credentials, and placed them on the table with a thud that seemed to echo in the silence. "I am Judge Michael Harrison of the Federal Circuit Court. You've just committed felony trespass, burglary, and obstruction of justice. And now you're in my courtroom." Her smirk cracked. The two men froze, eyes wide, realizing the gravity of what they had done. Karen sputtered, You're bluffing." I leaned forward, voice steady as stone. "Karen, I don't bluff. You can leave now and hope my mercy outweighs my outrage, or you can stay and be arrested in handcuffs. Choose carefully." The room went still. Finally, she dropped her clipboard, muttered something about miscommunication, and stormed out. Her lackeys stumbled after her, pale and trembling. But I wasn't finished. That very afternoon, I filed an official report with law enforcement. Unlike the neighbors she had bullied, I had the resources, the evidence, and the position to ensure this would not be swept under the rug. The investigation moved fast. Police questioned her. The district attorney weighed charges. Neighbors, emboldened by my stand, came forward with their own stories of harassment, illegal fines, trespassing, intimidation. Piece by piece, her empire of fear collapsed. 3 weeks later, the HOA held an emergency vote. Karen was removed unanimously. As her moving truck pulled away, there was no celebration, just quiet relief. People walked a little taller. Children laughed outside without parents worrying about violations. For the first time in years, our neighborhood belonged to its residents, not to a tyrant. But the story didn't end there. In court, I watched her face as the prosecutor laid out the charges. I didn't rejoice. I didn't gloat. I simply felt justice, a principle I had devoted my life to, being upheld. She had believed herself untouchable. The law reminded her otherwise. That night, as I sat on my porch with my wife, the neighborhood lights glowing softly around us, I thought of the lesson buried in the chaos. Power without accountability becomes tyranny, and tyranny, no matter how small or petty, must always be challenged. Karen had walked into my home as if she owned it. She walked out humbled, stripped of the control she had abused. And my neighbors? They walked into a future free of fear, knowing that even in the quiet suburbs, justice could still prevail. Because sometimes the courtroom comes to you,